me a sandwich.
No.
No, that's bullshit. I get a +1 circumstance bonus because he owes me $10 from that one time we went to lunch.
What? Fine.
Hi everybody, welcome to GameGorgon. My name is Krug.
I'm Indigo.
Today we're here to talk to you about charisma, the personality trait that I lack most.
That's Now, before we go into what those charisma skills are, we need to kind of give a basics of what charisma is. And so I'm going to read you a direct quote from the book. This score measures your character's strength of personality, personal magnetism, and the ability to influence the thoughts and moods of others.
Kiss me, Johnny. Kiss me like I've never been kissed before.
Okay.
It's how well you can affect other people by just existing. Like how well you can, talk your way out of something or get your way into something. And it's just, including
Quagmire.
dance.
We're going to talk to you about the specific actions and benefits you get from being able to do charismatic things. You're going to notice that there are quite a few of these, and that's going to be a trend for all the skill videos. I would like to give you a piece of advice, and that is to say, look at your character sheet, either when you build it or when you level, figure out the kinds of things that you can do well with skills. For example, you're really good at charisma, or you're really good at acrobatics. Go through the book, read all of the entries for the abilities in those specific skills, and then write them down. Treat them like spells. There are a lot of them, and some of them are very complicated, and having to look through the book when you want to lie to somebody, which happens more than you'd think, is very, very, distracting from the actual gameplay.
Now, before we go into any of these, I should just point out that all of the saves on these are really DM's discretion. There are baseline, this is kind of where it is, but depending on the circumstances for every single one of these things, it can go up and it can go down.
Yeah.
And the DM should make them go up
Absolutely.
and down.
Even if it says it's a contested roll perception versus blah, blah, blah of the enemy, you're the DM. You need to make the world seem more believable than the game's going to be able to tell you. The game has a specific set of rules. You are the creator of reality. Make it as real as you can.
Exactly.
The first charisma skill is deception. This is what you're going to use when you want to lie to somebody. Pretty self-explanatory. The first action you're going to be able to take is create a diversion.
It is a one action ability that allows you to basically remove the eyes off of yourself from someone else. So you basically choose a target and you say, look over there, and you roll your deception check against their perception DC. Now, there's a couple caveats to this. Whether you succeed or fail, if you attempt to do this again, you have a -4 to all future attempts at this. And that's kind of big. And it makes sense. If I am standing in front of you and I say, look over there, and you look over there, and then you turn around and I go, no, really, look over there. You're like, right? That's how this
No, that's fair. And even if I do look, I'm not dumb. If you're telling me oh, there's a fire, and I don't see a fire, you're the boy that cried wolf at this point,
And the key to this is it changes your status from seen to sensed.
Right.
Which is a key kind of mechanic for rogues or characters that want to stealth or get out of situations.
Yes, because you have to go through sensed in order to become unseen. It's very difficult for you to go from seen to unseen.
Exactly. And the other kind of caveat to this is while you are sensed and you do this action, it does not make them flat-footed for the situation of making an attack.
Correct.
So you become...
Yeah, those are two completely different statuses.
Exactly.
And if we end up getting to the statuses video, we will go over both of them. But we have a lot to go over right now.
Yeah. So you succeed, guess what? It happens. You fail, they don't believe you. And yeah, you get a minus based off
-4
of,
regardless.
Yeah.
An out-of-combat alternative to this would be to impersonate someone. To attempt to make yourself look like somebody else, you need a disguise kit in order to even attempt this, obviously, because you're trying to disguise yourself as somebody else. You also need 10 minutes. It's not something that you could do in combat, at least without putting your team at risk of dying, 40 times.
And now you can spend less time doing it.
Yes.
It's not a requirement of 10 minutes, but that's basically your baseline.
Yeah,
If you want to spend less time, it's going to be harder for you to succeed.
Sure. And basically what you're doing is rolling your deception check against the perception. Yeah, the target's perception check. I'm sure GMs can come up with fun, creative ways to do like crowds and stuff like that if it's like a really famous person you're trying to impersonate. And if you succeed, they think that you're the person, and if you fail, they can tell that you're not the person, or if they know you, they can tell that you're you.
Yeah, the other aspect of this is that if you're trying to impersonate someone specific, there's a whole another realm of how those DCs work with people. So if someone's trying to impersonate you, and I know you clearly, and they walk into the room and I talk to them, I go, you're not that person because
your voice isn't the same, you're taller, your skin tone's slightly off, and like it's really difficult to paint skin without being like, hey, your skin's painted, dude. Like there's tons and tons of things there.
Next is lie. I mean, if you don't know what that is,
lie's not in the book. What are you talking about?
Lying is you're trying to convince someone. This is a minute of conversation that you're having with someone, and you're trying to convince them of something, whether that be a lie about yourself or a lie about the situation they're in. And this is a very interesting one because the DC will change based off of how elaborate or how difficult it is to believe this said thing.
Yeah.
You succeed, they believe the thing. When you fail, not only do they not believe the thing you were trying to convince them of, but they also gain a +4 bonus to any future lies. And this can affect you not just in this one conversation, but it could affect you in future conversations as well.
DM's discretion. The last one for deception, and the only one that requires you to be trained, is to feint. Feint is something that I didn't use when I shoulda. It's really strong for rogues, and I didn't use it a single time. Feint basically allows you to make an opponent during combat flat-footed against your melee attack by like, and then stabbing him from like I'm not a fighting guy. That was a bad example.
You're faking a punch.
You're faking a punch. You're trying to make him think you're going left when you're going right. Feint works as a contested roll, your deception versus their perception. If you succeed, they're flat-footed against your next melee strike.
Yeah.
If you critically succeed, they're flat-footed against your next melee strikes until the end of your turn. If you critically fail, you become flat-footed against their melee attacks until the beginning of your next turn. So there is a little bit of risk reward here, but there's potential for specifically people like rogues to get a lot of value out of just feinting first action every round.
Yeah, and especially if you're a rogue and you know this, putting points in charisma is never a bad thing for a rogue. Being able to lie to people and being able to make your #1 damage dealing ability happen every round is critical. The next charismatic skill is diplomacy. The first untrained activity is gather information. You spend time talking to people, trying to figure out what's going on. You roll your diplomacy check against the DM's DC check that they choose based off of what information you're trying to get, if you've given gifts, if you spent money, if you're doing drinks, however it may be. You succeed, you get that piece of information.
Yep.
You fail, you get wrong information.
Yep.
and you don't know if that's wrong information.
Yep. Yeah. If you have a good DM, you're gonna roll. The DM's going to go, cool, this is what you learned.
Yeah.
Stoic, 100%. And then you're gonna be like,
I'd rather do this. They like roll like a 10, right? Like somewhat low, not a critical failure, like a 1. But you're like, okay, so you know that they're north. And they're like, oh, great. And then you're like, fuck, they're south.
Next up is make an impression. This is a diplomacy check that you make against a specific target that allows you to increase their favorability towards you by 1 or 2 steps, depending on whether you succeed or critically succeed against the DC that the DM provides. If you critically fail, their attitude towards you goes down by 1. So you could potentially like try and be schmoozing and telling people, hey, like, I'm cool too, right? And they're just like, no, you're stupid and I hate you more now. Please leave.
And it's important to know what the steps of attitude are with other players.
Yes.
Or not other players, but other NPCs, other people. Which is hostile,
Yes.
unfriendly, indifferent,
Him.
friendly, and helpful.
Me.
The next is request.
Make me a sandwich.
Where you ask someone that is friendly or helpful to do an action or get a piece of information from them, or however you want to make them do the thing you want them to do.
True.
And now this only works for friendly or helpful, and if you succeed, they will do the thing, that you're asking them to do, but they might also ask for some additional assistance or help or monetization for it. If you critically succeed, they just do the thing. Of course, this is
within reason.
Exactly.
This isn't like brainwash them to jump off a cliff. It's
Exactly.
like, oh, I'll go above and beyond to help you, but I still have self-preservation.
Yeah, and what I really like about this is actually how the fails work.
Yes.
So with fail, while they don't want to do the thing that you have suggested, they might be willing to still do it with maybe a little bit more compensation or maybe change to the plan of how they're going to do things.
Instead of me being the distraction, why don't you be the distraction?
Yeah, like there could be a lot of different aspects and a lot of role play options.
Exactly.
For that. Now, critical failure, they don't do the action, and not only do they not do the action, they actually drop in favor with you.
That's the dangerous part about this. That's why you shouldn't make these kinds of checks if you're not the charismatic member of the party, because you could legit just make towns hate you by just running around trying to be diplomatic and like charismatic, and just every critical fail is that person now hates you, that person also hates you, hey, that person hates you. It's just like there's a lot of spirally downwardness that could happen.
Now the interesting thing is that while the previous deception and charisma checks are perception based, these are all will save based.
Right.
Which I think is very interesting because it's like
very close to a charm spell, except for there's no magic involved.
Exactly, and I think that some of the deception ones I feel might be better suited in the will save section.
Maybe.
Like if you're lying to someone, why does it matter if they see? You know what I mean? Like I'm just trying to convince you of a lie. I think it should be more of a will save.
I think they were just trying to homogenize and like not have different skills branch out too much, but that's just my guess.
What do you guys think? Head
Let
down
us know in the comments. Whoa.
What do you think? Head down in the comments and let us know what you think about the difference between the perception and the will saves.
Next up is Intimidation. The first untrained action is going to be Coercion. This is effectively the angry version of Diplomacy.
Yes.
You're going to make a Intimidation check versus the opponent's will save, and if you succeed, they're basically going to, under duress, give you information. Similarly to Diplomacy, this can affect your relationship with the target, but here's the difference. If you fail, the target is going to immediately become unfriendly. There's no dropping one or dropping two. Whatever they are now, if you try to coerce them, it's going to immediately become unfriendly. If you critically fail, not only do they not give you the information, not only do they become unfriendly, but you also cannot succeed with this kind of roll against that target for a week.
Yep.
That's a lot.
Now, what's interesting as well is the success, while they will do the thing under duress that you've requested them, they may, after kind of doing the thing that they ask, try to take actions against you, whether that's going to the police or telling the person that you tried to get information on, and that's really interesting.
And you have to remember that about this. This is an aggressive option. Diplomacy is a lot safer, but you can't use it against hostile targets. This is the one that you take against somebody that you don't care about. You don't care about their life. You don't care if they go to the police. You're already hostile against that town. It doesn't matter. This is the enhanced interrogation technique of Pathfinder.
Yeah, it's depending on what kind of character you want to be. If you want to be an evil ruling barbarian that has a high charisma, this is the way to go about it.
Yeah, why don't you be evil though? Be good.
Next is Demoralize, which is a single action in combat that you can use your intimidation against someone. Now, they have to at least sense you to do this, because you can be hiding and you can say something and you can make an intimidation, or you can be in visual sight and make a verbal or a physical attempt to try to frighten them. If you succeed, they're frightened for 1 round. If you critically succeed, they're frightened 2, and they have to flee from you on your turn.
Yep.
If you fail, nothing happens. And if you critically fail, nothing happens. Oh, and you can't make that attempt for another 10 minutes. So, out of combat next day situation.
Yeah. Or they're dead already. Like,
exactly.
Whatever.
I'm going to just do trained roll.
Oh, yeah.
And then for the trained skills, there's nothing. There's no trained benefit of having this, other than the +1.
Yep. Next up is Perform. This is basically what you're going to roll when you want to put on a performance for somebody. This is used very heavily for bards in other ways. If you want to learn about that, check out our bard video. Shameless self-plug. The mechanics basically work like this. If you succeed, then you perform. If you fail, you don't perform. If you critically succeed, you perform really well. If you critically fail and Indigo's right. The quote on the book here is beautiful. You demonstrate only incompetence.
Yeah.
Which is just like, just good. Good quote.
Yeah, the performance itself is kind of boring because the most beneficial of it is they might talk about your performance later.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Cool.
That's you're like, oh, great. But this kind of leads to the trained feature of this, which is staged performance. Now we're gonna get into the weeds here. This is the most complicated, useless skill in the game.
Whoa.
And I think it's a waste of time, effort, and it's only going to be used in very, very hyper-specific situations. EJ, I'm looking at you and I'm calling you out on this one. Stage performance is you want to perform whatever your skill is, whether that be comedy, dancing, singing, playing the lute, whatever it is. You want to perform in front of an audience. This is a downtime only activity.
Yep.
You spend a number of days trying to gather people to come to your performance.
You want to come to my concert, bro?
Yeah, basically. And the DM will choose what kind of audience is available.
Yeah. If you're in like a town of 50 people,
Yeah.
you're going to have limited options. If you're in a city of 1 billion people,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and it's not just the quantity, but the quality
True.
as well. So commoners are low level versus aristocrats and kings and dukes and all of that stuff goes up and up and up. And depending on the level of available audience and the level of days that you spend trying to gather these people will determine your audience size. Then you perform a DC that the DM then determines based off the audience. And if you succeed, you make money based off of a chart.
That was just so funny. You make money.
Yeah. If you critically succeed, you make money one step higher than what you would normally make based off of your audience.
You also take 1d6 bludgeoning damage from coins hitting you in the face.
The other kind of aspect of this in the positive side is the performance, because you've staged this performance, it can last multiple days.
Oh.
You can do this over and over again.
So if your downtime's a week, you can spend 3 days looking and 4 days performing. I know math. That's cool. I didn't know that.
And it's based off of the audience. So like you said, if you have 50 people, right?
Sure.
You're not going to be able to string that performance along 4 days.
Yeah.
And
if you're in a major city
and
you can, work it hard enough, you can maybe put on like 4 back-to-back.
Exactly. And you gain money each time you succeed, or if you critically succeed each one of those.
I dig it.
And it's beneficial in that aspects. The fail, you make money. But it's based off of the fail column on that chart.
Less money.
Yeah, and then if you critically fail, the audience boos and hisses you, and it will cause you to, you make no money, and it will cause you to suffer in future performances.
Get utterly wrecked on.
Yeah, it's such a complicated skill.
And all of that for just money?
Yeah.
Like, I would say, like, if you critically succeed, the attitude of everybody in the town goes up to you by 2 for a week, or something like that.
So
like, you become famous.
It doesn't say, it says in the text, but it's not like a mechanical like aspect of it, is that it says if you critically succeed, you can change the hearts of people.
Okay, so it doesn't use the mechanical terms, but it does imply DM's discretion.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
And so, like, if you're in a town and a village and the king or the duke or whoever is there is overtaxing their citizens and they've made attempts to try to talk
you
to them.
can move them into fairness with your music alone.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Never gonna happen in a game. I'd rather kill the guy, but sure.
It's very possible, and like I said, it's very hyper-specific to the gameplay that you and your party are going to play.
Agreed.
And while I know that there are people and there are groups out there that are very, very adamant about this kind of gameplay, I feel that the majority of people will not be using this aspect.
I would agree.
Yeah. All right, that concludes our breakdown of our skills, our charisma skills. It's a little bit long, and it's going to be a long video. I apologize very, very much for this.
I don't. You're going to love it.
Yeah, I hope you love it. And if you do love it, go down in the comments and let us know what you liked about it, because this is very important. We're going to be continuing this along all the skills.
Yeah.
And so if you didn't like this video, let us know, because it's going to be here for a little bit. So hopefully you guys can let us know what to improve on or how to better assist you, the viewer. And while you're down there letting us know what you think of this video, hit the like button. It really helps the channel out. And if you're not subscribed, do it. Subscribe, so that that number can just go up, because that's all it does. It just increases that number.
Yes.
But if you hit the bell icon, you can get notifications for our future content and actually, know when it comes up. Then you can go over to Twitter and talk to us. You can talk to me on Twitter at IndigoQT.
You can get me on Twitter at CrewQT, or you can talk to both of us at our social media links where Indigo is centrally pointing. We've been GameGorgon. We'll see you guys never again, because we're just got banned from YouTube.
That was my charisma check.
No, it failed. Failed on everybody.